Now we're up to Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis and a little bit about the laws of Me'ilah. By way of introduction, there are two categories of Me'ilah in Hegdesh. One category is when a person is nene from Hegdesh, from a Chefetz of Hegdesh or a Machal of Hegdesh, or he gets some sort of benefit from Hegdesh. The second category is when he takes the object out of the Rishus of Hegdesh and he passes on and transfers ownership over Hegdesh to a third party, or he takes it for himself. Now, in both these categories, if he did this b'shogeg, unaware of the fact that it was Hegdesh, then he's chayav me'ilah. And that means he has to pay Karen v'chomesh, the Hegdesh, and he has to bring a korban me'ilah. Now, he writes here in the note, Yesh chiluk b'din me'ilah beinim hu gizbar shachefetz hegdesh biyodo lebein adam acher hanotel chefetz mehegdesh. Kol adam moel miyadim lekichos hachefetz mehegdesh. V'la gizbar eno moel ad sheyotzi hachefetz mershusa. So he says that since the nechasim of hegdesh are in the Rishus of the Gizbar would not be Chayv Me'ilah until he takes it out of his own Rishus. So again, just to summarize, it's not necessarily so that the only way you could violate Me'ilah and be Chayv for Me'ilah is if you take the object of Hegdesh out of the Rishus of Hegdesh. It's possible that even if you don't take the object out of the Rishus of Hegdesh, but you're nenem in a Hegdesh, the Hana itself generates Me'ilah. And that's a critical point to understand our sugi. Omar Rav, Hoysel lefanov kikar shel hefker. The halacha is that if an object of hefker falls within a radius of 4 amos of a person where that person is standing, so you imagine a person standing here, and you draw a circle, and the diameter here is going to be 4 amos, and the Rabbanan made a takana that in such a case he's kona the hefker. No one else can be kona. V'yomar. And now this man who's within 4 amos of the object of hefker declares kikar zu hegdesh. Okay. Now again, we're going to see that Rava is formulating his ruling in a case of a kikar shel hefker, because if this kikar would belong to the magdish, there would not be a din of me'ilah just simply by taking it, even if he takes it for the purpose of eating it or hanafin. It's only when he's motzi it rishus hegdesh, rishus acheres, that's when there's me'ilah. So if this kikar was in his rishus before he was magdish it, and it remains in his rishus, then he has the same status as a gizbar, and there's no me'ilah simply by taking it. However, if this kikar is hefker, and he was magdish it, then it never entered into his rishus, because he was magdish it immediately when it came into his daled amos. Now you could say that when he lifts up the object for the purpose of eating, he's chayav mishum me'ilah because he's taking it out of the rishus of hegdesh. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, when he declares kikar zu hegdesh, the hegdesh is chal because his statement of kikar zu hegdesh is a gilui. It reveals his kavana, his intention, that he wants to be zocha in this hefker on behalf of hegdesh. And that's all based on the fact that the Chachamim made a takana that any hefker that's found within 4 amos of a radius of 4 amos, he's coded even without a Masechet. So now this person who has the hefker object within 4 amos, he can be magdish the object, and that comes under the halacha. This is sugi ba mitzir of ches called a magbia mitzir lechavero kon chavero. Now it's possible that his declaration was likshe ezke bekikar zeh tia hegdish. When I make a kinyan on this kikar, then it'll be hegdish. So it's not simply because it's a mitzia and he's being magbia on behalf of hegdish, but he's establishing it as hegdish only when he will make a kinyan on this object. And Rav is machadesh that since he has what we call biyado, he has the potential to be zochen this kikar, therefore he can be magdish. But again, the hegdish, according to this opinion, would only be chal after he's actually zochen. He could be magdish it now, and the chalos kedusha and hegdish would take place later when he actually is zochen in. Now, Nitola Liochel, after he declared that this kikar is hegdish, he lifted up the kikar. Again, Shogig temporarily forgot that it was hegdish, and he wants to eat it. So that's considered total me'ilah. Why? Because it's not like the case of a gizbar, where he already owned the object. He didn't own the object. He was only magdish together with, while it was hefker, and he's exercising his rights to be magdish because he has rights to be zochen. Is kula. This is a case where there's full-fledged me'ilah. We value the market value of the kikar. Let's say it's valued at 100 shekel. He will be chayav me'ilah 100 plus an extra chomesh plus a korban. So this means because the moment that he enjoys the benefit of this hegdish, that's called me'ilah. And even though he hasn't eaten it yet, but he lifted it up for the purpose of eating it, then he's taking it out of the rishus of hegdish into chulin. And therefore he has to pay the full value of this kikar on the market plus a chomesh. So that's the case where it was daito lizkos bekikar. Now we have the seif of Rava, where ain't daito lizkos bekikar, but rather he picks up the kikar, lo risha lebana. He's not interested in eating, he has no intention of eating the kikar, but rather he wants to bequeath it to his yarshim, to his children. Now, at this point, no one actually was zocher in this kikar, neither the father nor the son. The father wasn't zocher because he had no intention to take it for himself. He only wants to be moshit and designated for his children. So again, as we said before, in the Resha of Rava, where he pays full me'ilah for the entire value of the kikar, so that's because the hegdish is chal, because his kavanah was to be zocher in the hefker on behalf of hegdish, as we discussed earlier. But in the seif of Rava, he didn't have kavanah to be zocher for himself when he lifted it up. His children cannot be zocher because as long as he's alive, then his kavanah was only to be magbia, to be morish after his death. Now, in this case, no one was zocher in the hegdish, so therefore there's no me'ilah, right? Me'ilah means to be zocher in the hegdish. But yet, Rava says there is me'ilah. How so? Because if you recall in our introduction, we said that there's another category of me'ilah, where even though you didn't take it out of the Rishus of the Hegdish, but you had Hana from the Hegdish, then you pay for the Hana that you got from the Hegdish, which is called Tovas Hana. And that's going to be the Chalos Me'ilah here in the Sefer of Rav. And that's called Mol Lefi Tovas Hana Sheyesh Bo. Well, what is the Tovas Hana that he's getting here? He's not eating it. He's just trying to bequeath it to his children. But the answer is that when he makes that demonstration that he's interested in seeing to it that his children get extra funds, they recognize that he's working as a father on their behalf. And Makirim Lo Tova, they have a certain sense of gratitude when they see that the father's really working hard to be Marbe the Yerusha, to give him more and more the Yerusha, that eventually he'll be Morish after he dies. So he gets a certain element of Hana, and even though he's not being Motzi, the Hegdesh, Mirshus Hegdesh, because no one was Zocher here. He wasn't Zocher because he didn't have any intention of taking it for himself. His children weren't Zocher because he's still alive and well, Baruch Hashem. So therefore the object, the Kikar, never left the Rishus of Hegdesh, and yet there's Me'ilah. And this Me'ilah is that first category that we mentioned, that if he has Hana from Hegdesh, then that value of Hana, we'll call it X, is the amount that he has to pay Hegdesh and add a Chomish on top. Adkan. Oh, he says here in the note, Al Yidei Hana Mo'alim BeHegdesh Afilu Im Lo Motzian Es HaHegdesh Mirshus Hegdesh. It's a Chayfetz Mirshus Hegdesh. Betovas Hana Yesh Lo Miyad Lefi Shebona Machzikim Lo Tova Kvar Me'achshav Al Shu Mechazer Lo Rishon. He's trying to find more and more for them for the Yerusha. Boy Minei Reb Chia Bar Oven Bi Rav. Reb Chia asked Rav the following question. A man says to his friend, Kikari Olecha, which means Kikari, my Kikar should be Asur Olecha. Now there's a little bit of a contradiction here between the Reish and the Sefer of his declaration. On the one hand, he's saying Kikari, that only as long as it's mine, then it becomes also. On the other hand, he said Olecha. Olecha means that the Chayfetz is a Chefetz di Surah, like a Konam, Olecha Liolam Voed. Unisanalo. And now he gives, the Madir gives the Mudar a Kikar, this Kikar as a gift. So should we emphasize the word Kikari? And now it's no longer his Kikar, therefore the Neder is not Chal. Or should we emphasize Olecha, Mal? Kikari Amarlo, Ki Isa B'Shusehu B'Yasur. If he adds the word Kikari, my Kikar, then the Madir is saying, as long as it's mine, then there's going to be an Isa Neder. But if I gave it to you, and you, as a Makabel Matana, was Zocha in it, then there's no Isa Neder because it's no longer Kikari. Oh, Dilma, should we say no? Let's emphasize the last word in his declaration, Olecha. And what does Olecha imply? Iluye Shavise Hegdish. As far as you're concerned, Olecha, this object is, this Kikar is Hegdish. And Hegdish is always awesome. Even after he receives it as a gift. So Rav responds to Reb Chia bar Avin Pshita. I have no doubt about this issue of yours. The Afal Gav V'Yovel Lei B'Matana, even though the Madir gave this Kikar as a gift to the Matana, also because it says Olecha. Once he says Olecha, it means he's Oser Olav Hana Me'Akikar Liolam. See, I'm not sure why the Gemara in the Od Dilma, when it formulates the question, says Shavi say Hegdish. I don't know what do we gain by Shavi say Hegdish. He just could have said also Liolam. Well, I guess he's trying to explain the language that olecha is a lashon of olecha hegdish, which means that's also lil. Okay, now Rabbi Chia says to Rava, based on your conclusion, there's a stira, there's a contradiction here. Why? Ella, what about a case of a person, a mother, who says kikri olecha? So now, according to you, Rava, why did he say kikri? You're telling me that alecha means that what? That it's also alecha liolam kehegdesh. So why does he say kikri? Lafuki mai. What, he must have come to exclude something when he said it's got to be mine. Lav, shouldn't we say lafuki di ganva minei mignav? That if let's say the mudar would come and steal the object from the madir, then believe it or not, paradoxically, be allowed to be nene from it because the kikar is no longer in the rishus of the madir; it's now in the rishus of the mudar. And if that be the case, then Reb Chia asks Rava that the same logic, the same reasoning should apply if he didn't steal it, but rather he received it as matana, because obviously, since you're deriving from the word kikri that if it's out of the rishus of the madir, it's no longer also the mudar, then apply that, right? For example, the case of Geneva, apply the same reasoning in the case of matana. Amalei. So Rava responds to the questionnaire of Chia. Look, when he says the word kikri, the madir is not coming to exclude a case where the kikar was stolen, like you said, Rav Chia, but rather lafuki the azmine aleh, that if the madir would invite the mudar to his house, and this kikar is on the table, and he said to him, kikri olecha, what he means to say is that if there are other kikros in his house, those he's allowed to eat. So kikri means not my kikar, but this kikar. If he would have said kikar, then that's a generic term that would include all the kikros that are on the table. But when he says kikri, he means kikar zu. He's coming lafuke, all the other kikros on the table. But as far as this kikar is concerned, which is the only one that's asur, says Rava, it would be asur even though he gave it to him for matan. And now we're going to read the next Gemara based on the Girs of the Ran. Amalei, so Rava says to Rav Chia, Pshita the Afal Gav the Avile b'matana asur. Even though the Madi gave a gift to the Mudar, it's still awesome for the Mudar to be Nana for this Kikar. The Ilo, if you're going to tell me there's no Isra in such a case, Alecha lafuki mai. Why do you use the word Alecha? Right? What case, what scenario is coming to be excluded when the Madir adds the word Alecha? Lafuki the Ganva Bigdav? He asks it as a rhetorical question. Is it possible he's coming to prohibit this kikar for a situation that the mudar is stealing it from him? That's not logical. He's not going to entertain the possibility. It's not going to draw, cross his mind that the mudar is going to steal the kikar from him. So as long as the kikar is his and it's in his rishus, he doesn't need to take a neder to prohibit the kikar on the mudar. Even without the neder, the mudar is not a ganav. He's not allowed to benefit from it without asking for permission. So it must be that the madir had kavana to prohibit the kikar, even if the kikar would come into the hands of the mudar as a matana. Now he adds here, in the name of the Rosh, a little bit of a psychological point. He says, "We also came bo litna lo b'matan." Now he doesn't want the pressure from the mudar. Hey, give it to me as a gift. So if Kikri would come to exclude a matana situation, then Rava says the neder would be chal even after. I'm sorry, the neder would not be chal if he gave it to him as matana. Pumfaket, just the opposite. The madir wants to avoid any sort of pressure in which the mudar would say, "Give it to me as a matana," and therefore the isa neder is chal even after an event that he does give him a matana. So forget about the word kikri. Just emphasize the word olef. So here rejects this, and he says, "Amalei." It's still possible to say that if he gave the kikar as a gift, then the recipient, the mudar, would be allowed to benefit from it. Lafuki di azmine Allah. His kavana when he was madir him was to create an Isra on him that if he'll invite him to his house to eat with him, then the kikar here would be Aser Olav. And therefore he's not going to pressure him to invite him, because even if he invites him at this table, he won't be able to eat the bread. Now the Gemara is going to ask a kashir on Daf Lamed Hey against Rava, who says that the mudar is not allowed to have hanof in the kikar when he receives this as a gift from the madir, and the Gemara is going to raise an objection based on the brisa, and that's here Esvei on the top of Daf Lamed Hey and Aleph. The Gemara is going to quote a brisa. We'll stop here, and I'll wish you a great day.